Hello and welcome to the Kundalini podcast. That was Zen. This is Tao. I'm Vivek Govekar. This is episode 91. Namaste. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about superpowers and siddhis. That's what everyone wants to know about the Kundalini energy. Here's what I have learned, and I'll just tell you the basics. I don't want to keep secrets from people, but I have to make sure that everything that I'm experiencing is actually true. The scientist in me wants to verify everything. And once I've verified it, turns out to be true, then I have no problem telling it to people. All the tales from ancient times, mythology, that is still with us in the form of sometimes Marvel comics like Thor. Thor is a hammer. Similar to some godly figures from Hindu scripture have Hanuman and Bhim, they have a mace, Gada. Then there's the tale of the King Arthur's sword, that only the right person can pull it out of the stone, right? There's the story of a Shivadhanushya. Lord Shiva gave a bow, like a bow and arrow. And only Arjuna, a character from Mahabharata, only that person could lift it because that's the right person. Similar to the King Arthur tale. What it is different facets of the energy once it's awakened. Like I have said before, for me, with the energy inside me, is like the Shivadhanushya, bow of Shiva, with a string to it now. Meaning power, the Tesseract. If you have watched the Loki Marvel show recently, he's sitting with the Tesseract. It's an allegory to the Kundalini awakening. So you're sitting with that, but you're being kept inside. I find it laughable. I just watched a couple of episodes. It's not like that. It's not just he's sitting with the Tesseract and looking at the outside world. He's in the Tesseract world and he's saying, okay, these are the outside boundaries for when I come back and put my attention, my chitta outside again. That's the yogi point of view. But, comic book movies and superhero movies have to be sensationalized. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a movie, right? But to give an analogy is, if you're sitting with an awakening, you're sitting with Shiva's bow or King Arthur's sword. And what it means, the real purpose of the story is lost on people. What it really means is, by pulling out of the sword, what do you have to focus? What energies do you have to focus to be the right person to get this blessing and do the best with it? That's why it's forged into a weapon. Like, let's say a sword has to be prepared. A bow has to be, like, string has to be tied. It has to be made for that purpose, right? And only then does it work well. So a forged weapon that has been created for you, do you have the power to wield it? Oh, King Arthur, when he pulled it out, of course he knew how to use a sword and had been an expert at sword fighting. Of course, Arjuna was a great archer and had been trained for a long, long time by supposedly the greatest teacher, Dronacharya. People were, begging at his doors to, be taught. And he was the teacher of the kings, kids, princes and stuff. So he was the best. And Arjuna was the best archer. And so he got the bow of Shiva, similar to the King Arthur tale. First you have to train at that, whatever it is. So, which is why, whatever you train at, whatever you have been doing for a long time, becomes better. In my case, photography. I didn't have archery skills to that same degree that Arjuna did. But that's why these allegories and instruction manuals and fairy tales, supposed fairy tales, give you so much insight into this process, more so than just go to a church or a temple and pray like everybody else does. This is a physical thing. My body's shaking. I need to calm this down. Oh, and now it's showing me all these revelations. It is autodidactic, meaning it has all the teachings required for the process within you. Difficulty is getting the ego to surrender, which part I am at right now. Then when do you become Jesus? When do you become a guru? When do you start having the powers, etc.? I leave it up to the Almighty. It's teaching me. Its pace is the right pace. Nobody on the outside can capture this. And now, how do we use this? Those ideas themselves are false. Like, how do I burn myself by jumping on this hot piece of metal that's molten? How do I use lava? And how do I use my hands to take this lava and make something out of it? That's what people are trying to do with a divine awakening. And they'll burn, but you can't feel bad about it. They brought it on themselves. These powers are beyond my control and highly highly, you know, powerful beings that have set up a method here with mantras, with other religious spiritual systems, are giving you these powers. Then how they come? When you're ready to get it, you'll get something, and all of it works for God's divine purpose. You are not doing anything where it is outside of God's will for too long. Ego might prompt you a few times, but then you hurt, and your energy and your process gets blocked. Whatever that outside temptation might be, whoever that outside person might be, they might be famous, not famous, just regular people, people who are close to you for a long time, whatever that might be. But after an awakening, you are on the quest, like Arjuna, to be able to pick up that bow, Shiva Dhanusha, given by God, and be able to wield it well. That's the part of the story that everybody misses out on. Because he trained so well, Arjuna was asked by Drona, his guru, what do you see there? There's a parrot sitting on the tree, a bird, and you have to shoot it. So what do you see? Well, everybody else started giving explanations about, I see this, I see the tree, the parrot is sitting this way, the wind is blowing this way, and now I'm going to focus, etc. Everybody gave some explanation, varied, like complicated things. And Drona was trying to figure out whose focus is the best. He asked Arjuna, what do you see? Arjuna said, I see just the eye of the bird. He said, okay, shoot. So he shot the arrow, went right through the eye of the arrow, killed the bird. You know, a lesson in immediacy, being in the moment, having focus, being focused on the goal that you set, and achieving it. Wielding the power well. Not just having the intention to do it, not just being in the vicinity of the bird, not just knowing about where the bird might be when I shoot the arrow, knowing, having your focus, not even taking it off when somebody's talking to you, and then shooting exactly at the right time, making sure that the arrow hits the bird. That. All of that requires a certain person, but it's not inherent, just given to you, where you can rest on your laurels and say, okay, I have this ability. No, you have to have the quest, the thirst for it, for excellence, for being good at it. And then it's given to you. That's a common theme that I've found with every Kundalini awakening. People were looking for something, they were putting their efforts in, and somehow, without even knowing it, they stumbled across an awakening. Standard story. So you have to be the person that is right for the awakening to happen, and you also have to be the person that after it happens stays that same person. Very critical. There is a concept in a movie called Inception, where there's a dream within a dream within a dream. People can be fed dreams, and you are in 3 different dreams at once. And this person who navigates this space and guides other people out of these dreams, or navigates dream space, has his own mechanism using a spinning top. As long as he watches the spinning top and it falls, then he's in a real world. Otherwise, mind is so messed up with all these dreams. You have to have an anchoring point. In my case, it just so happened that I started making videos. And going back to these videos, just as I go back and watch videos of my daughter, that back then it was just a very amateurish thing with YouTube. You just put videos on. It's like, oh, my collection space, like a cloud that I use to store my videos, and comes in handy now. I can go and watch them anytime I want, and my daughter has grown up. In the same way, it is a centering point, an anchoring point for me to come back to the video and see my own progress and how much of what I have said expressed to people as my ideas, how much of it is still valid and relevant. And I've made a promise that whatever happens through this process, as I'm going through it, will be expressed. So my answer to people asking about different powers is this. If you're the right individual, meaning you have restraint, responsibility, capability, no imbalances, only then will these powers work for you. And only the things you worked on all your life and had a quest for will become something that you are easily, effortlessly good at. And you will get joy out of it. God gives you joy. So if your joy has been in striving for things and getting them your way, the joy and satisfaction that you get out of doing that will be brought back to you. There'll be other distractions, there'll be other temptations around you, but you kept your focus, and then you got the joy through all the hardship, through all the pain. And that was a realization that going back to your true self, your own being within, and whatever skills you had honed, and being comfortable with them again, not being ashamed of any of them, not taking the parts of your history that you may like, not like, have been distorted, whatever it is. You're just at peace with everything as a being first, and then higher knowledge comes afterwards. The inner relaxation you have to bring yourself. That is the quelling of the ego, or regular person instincts that drive us through the world. Finding a job, having money, etc. Those are regular person things. They have to be done, and they happen naturally afterwards. But the worry, caution, fear, a mechanism to hold you within some confines because we are scared, etc. That childish nonsense, when you're a young kid, is good with kids, but not for grown-ups. You have to get out of your boundaries and explore. Get out of your comfort zone and find out for yourself. And then it leads you to such amazing things, like all the fears people try to put in you were mainly out of their own jealousy at you are doing well. You might do well is the fear, and for that they have to make you, caution you that you might not do well, etc. My personal things, but I had to break out of them and find that person within that is capable of wielding this power in the way described in these scriptures, like the sword of Arthur, like the bow given to Arjuna by Shiva. And having that focus, that training, requires a methodical effort. My biggest worry and my biggest concern in losing myself, losing my ego, losing all these outward masks that had accumulated over years and years of living a regular person life, to this completely new transmuted reality, and the fears of that person, previous person, now seem laughable. What was I so scared of? But you have to go through the process, go through the fears, go through the pain of losing something, and learn your balance and coming back to what that reality was, that spinning top, in your case, whatever that might be. How to bring yourself back to that centering, to that grounding, makes you more and more capable of receiving this blessing and more gifts that come with this blessing. So it's a gradual process, and you have to surrender to it. There is no room for the ego, and no, you don't become a god with the ego intact and like, look at me. Opposite of that. Well, ideas, fantasies, and what you have cooked up about what powers you're gonna get, they themselves get destroyed along with anybody dreaming that within you, inside you. The person dreaming that itself is gone. And then you happen to notice things you weren't noticing before. They are already there. God has already put them in every step. Every layer of your mental prism has to be cleansed, all the dirt removed through your effort, and then it's there for you to see. Then, now what's gonna come? No, it's already there. Whatever that might be for you. I wasn't looking because I was so busy, distracted by other things. So that's the best way I can put it about these siddhis, powers, etc. They are given to who is worthy, and the one that is worthy, whatever they have worked on for their whole life, as something coming out of passion, love, devotion, gets rewarded more and more and becomes easier. That's the reward given to you. You cannot distract yourself and neglect the past where you came from, because a new reality has emerged and you have to ground yourself back. Chop wood, carry water, go back to your own true self. But now in a cleansed way, with all these prisms cleansed, and you seeing things that were already existed within you, your ability, your talent, and were lacking the courage to do something through all these bindings and things that held you back, which now don't exist. Make the best of it. I hope that was helpful. This is Vivek Kovekar signing off. Peace, love, blessings. Be well.